Okay, we are up and running. What's good, everybody? Hope everyone is having a great week so far. Welcome back. Shout out to all the new subscribers. Definitely hit that like button for me. All right. We got a number of topics to talk about today, and a lot more. Hopefully by tomorrow morning, I'm gonna put out some more content tomorrow morning because there's a lot of news, boxing news, a lot of fights that's been announced for the next couple of months. All right, all the way out in October and November. Okay, so I do want to make videos on future fights, but this video here, I want to go over the weekend fights other than Fury and Usyk and Joshua. Okay, and then I want to talk about Fury fighting Usyk for undisputed. So we'll get down to that later in this video. But I want to go over the weekend's fights because there was an ESPN card. There was a Showtime card as well. And of course, I'm going to speak a little bit more on Usyk and Joshua. All right. But before that, let's talk about this weekend's card on ESPN. It's going to be Top Rank. Richard Commey is going to be making his junior welterweight debut against Jose Pedraza. Should be a good fight. In my opinion, it is a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. And I can't wait to see it. Okay. You got who else we got? You got Jared Anderson, the heavyweight prospect. He's going to be making his return. I think this is going to be his first fight in a while. He's going to be on the card, on the undercard. And you also got F.A. Ajagba, I saw on there. So you got some heavyweights on that undercard. Probably not going to be able to cover it live because I do have a family event to go to. But if I do get home or get time to jump on live, I will for sure. All right. But that is the only card that's coming up this weekend. And it's going to be on ESPN Top Rank. And like I said, it is going to be a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. Shout out to everyone that's joining us. OC Tony, what's up? Icky Son, what's up? Luke, what's good with you? Hybrid, what's happening? All right. So more about this fight. Like I said, Commey is going to be his first time fighting at 140. And this is going to be his first fight after losing to Lomachenko. All right. Lomachenko came back after losing to Teofimo Lopez, beat Commey, was able to beat Nakatani. And I think I was really thinking about this scrap because I like Jose Pedraza as the boxer. Commey is a good boxer too. But Commey is more of a power puncher. He's definitely a boxer puncher. All right. But I like Pedraza. I just feel like sometimes his power or his lack of power and his aggression, I don't know if he's aggressive enough for Commey. Commey has power, but he's going up to 140 to fight a guy that's been in there where Jose Ramirez went 12 with Jose Ramirez, went 12 with Jose Cepeda. You know what I'm saying? He lost to Tank Davis years ago, but that was down at 130. So, you know, Lomachenko did hurt him towards the end of that fight. But, yes, he lost to top-tier fighters. Richard Commey, you know, losing to Teofimo, losing to Lomachenko, was hurt bad by Lomachenko, was stopped early by Teofimo. Always been kind of chinny, you know. Even if you go back and look at Shafikov, you look at the Shafikov fight, and I believe Pedraza is a southpaw. Let me just look it up real quick. I believe he is a southpaw. No, he's not. You know he's not. Okay, my bad. All right, so he's not a southpaw. All right, but you know, the thing about Commey is he's always been a bit chinny, right? He's been dropped. He's been hurt bad. He's been stopped. You know, I think the Robert Easter fight was very debatable. But I remember him getting dropped in that fight. That was a great fight, by the way. That's a fight that I would love to one day go back and watch. I always say I'm going to do it whenever I bring that fight up. But that was a good fight. If you ever seen that fight, it was a good fight. But Richard Commey is a big puncher, but he's never fought at 140. Maybe he's stronger there. I don't know. Maybe he's stronger, but he's a good boxer. I mean, I'm leaning a tad bit towards Commey in a split decision. I don't think he's going to stop Jose Pedraza, though. Pedraza is a very good boxer, and he's going to have success. I see this one being close. I see it being like Joey Gonzalez against Isaac Dobe. I think it's going to go to a decision, and I think it might be a split decision or a controversial decision. All right. I think whatever way we go with this, I think people are going to be debating who really won that fight. That's the reason. That's the way I see this fight. Both of these guys have losses. They're coming off of losses, but they have fought some of the elite fighters in their respected divisions. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very, very good fight. It's going to be this weekend on Top Rank ESPN. I'm going to definitely try to get a prediction video out there once I do some film study. Again, off top of the head, though, I am seeing it as a real true 50-50. Real 50-50. I like Pedraza's boxing skills and his ability, his toughness. And he's always looked good. No one's really dominated him. Even Lomachenko, I know Lomachenko was coming off of a injury, but I don't feel like anyone outside of Tank years ago, which Jose said that he was drained for that fight. No one's really dominated him. Ramirez and Cepeda, who are punchers, especially Ramirez. Ramirez is very, very aggressive style. If he wasn't able to get Pedraza out of there, I'm not too sure about Commey. Commey got power, but we've seen Commey get outboxed and outworked. Shafikov outworked him. Close fight, good fight. Lomachenko obviously did until stopped him. So, I mean, look, it's a very good fight. And if you're looking to watch some boxing this weekend, that'll be the fight to watch this weekend, and some good fighters on the undercard. All right. What's up, Deuce? What's up, Dirty Red? What's up, everyone coming in? Hybrid says, I think it's 50-50 as well, leaning more towards Pedraza for the win. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards Commey, but I kind of feel like Commey would have to hurt him. If Commey, let's just say this goes 12 rounds and Commey does not hurt Pedraza at any point in this fight, I see Pedraza winning. I'm definitely going to do some film study when I get a chance sometimes this week, and I want to do a prediction video and throw that out there. But I'm 50-50 for now. I thought about it when I first heard the fight. I definitely was thinking towards Pedraza, but then I started, I've been back and forth with this fight. So I would like to do some film study. I'm definitely going to have to before I put a video out. All right. We're definitely going to talk about Fury, guys. I know you guys want me to address that. We're going to talk about Fury and Usyk, and I'm going to do it towards the end of the video. All right. But I want to go over the other fights that went down. Not all of them, because there was a lot of fights this weekend. But this was, I wanted to address that real quick and before we move on. All right. Don Solo says, best boxing channel in boxing. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Best channel in boxing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all the support from you guys. You guys been showing me a lot of love lately, and it's been a lot of new subscribers these past few weeks. All right. So look, let's discuss this weekend. Let's get over the ESPN card real quick. Let's talk about Emmanuel Navarrete stopping Baez. All right. He stops Baez in the sixth round with a body shot. I was able to watch the entire fight this morning. I did see highlights of it, but I wanted to really check it out because from the highlights I saw, it looked like Baez was winning. So I went back this morning and watched the entire fight. And I wanted to see exactly why Navarrete wasn't looking so good. All right. And I do believe that Baez was winning the fight up into that stoppage. And Baez is a good fighter. I did see him fight before. Nothing special, nothing amazing, but solid. All right. Solid fight, solid opponent for a stay busy fight. I did watch his fight with Rais Aleem, which went to a decision. Baez gave him some trouble in that fight. So I figure, let me check this fight out because Aleem is a good fighter. So Navarrete, one of my favorite Mexican fighters, all right, didn't look so good. And, and I think I really understand why. First of all, I think that Navarrete does fight on a level of his opposition. I think for sure. Also, Navarrete has terrible defense. All right. He does have an awkward style. Doesn't have the greatest balance neither. So he looks like sometimes when especially because he switches, it looks like he's about to tip over sometimes when he's throwing certain punches, or certain punches he catch certain shots. All right. So I think he does have a lot of flaws. And Baez did a good job in this fight with coming forward and making. Sorry, my own video came on. You guys know it happens with this sometime, because I think when I'm sharing a video, when I'm sharing my own video, it keeps my channel on there, and it starts playing on its own. My phone just wakes up every once in a while. So anyway, it always scares me to death. So anyway, what was I saying? So Baez did a good job in coming forward and keeping the pressure. He's a good boxer as well. Doesn't have the biggest punch, but I like what he was doing. He had a good jab. He was going to Navarrete's body, and he was forcing Navarrete to like fight laterally a lot, not just coming forward. And with a guy that is a high volume pressure fighter like that with punching power, you want to keep him like off balance. You want to keep him from coming forward. You want to do all of that. And he still lost. It's like he was in control of the fight at the moment, I believe. And he took a body shot and took a knee and never recovered, and he got stopped. Navarrete is a problem. The problem is Navarrete is most likely going to have to move up to 130. All right. He's probably going to move up to 130. And the problem is with the division. The division featherweight is just, for the last decade at least, this is not a division where fighters unify. There's not a division where a lot of fighters stay long. A lot of guys have moved up from 122 to 126 and then went up to 130, or went up to 126 and moved back down to 122. It's not a division where guys are really unified. Now, we've got some better fights. Mark Messiah was taking some good fights. We've seen him fight Gary Russell. We've seen him fight Ray Vargas in this past year. Then you have the whole mess with, Josh Warrington, and Mauricio Lara. That mess where, Josh gets knocked out, gets into a no contest with Lara in that intentional headbutt, in my opinion, and then went on to fight Kiko Martinez without having to fight Lara, and wins another title. And in my opinion, I don't think Josh Warrington is going to be fighting anyone that's really dangerous for him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see guys in the division really fighting top tier fighters. You got Leo Santa Cruz that's been very inactive over the last 3 or 4 years, and he's not really defending the title, but he's still a champion there. So I don't know if the fights that we should be getting, especially fights that I really want to see with Navarrete, I don't know if we're going to get those fights at any point. I would like the fights. You got, Robesi, Ramirez as well. There's a lot of talent at 126, but there's not a lot of fights that I really believe that's going to take place, unfortunately. Because 126 has always been kind of weird. Guys just don't unify there. And whatever, when it comes to the networks and the promoters, they just don't take many chances with their fighters going across the street. So, it is what it is. Shout out to everyone. What up, Pito? Thank you, man. Thank you for the respect, the love, the support. La Vida Boxio, what's up? 1 foot out the door. Vitalage, Geo, what's happening? Shout out to everyone that's here. So it's a tricky division, but good win for Navarrete. One thing about Navarrete is he seems big at 126, and I know he hasn't been really, he hasn't been at the division long, but he seems big. He looked very much bigger than Baez last night, and what he has to understand, as good as I think he is, 130 is a different beast. Not saying he won't be successful there, but his lack of defense might be an issue when he starts fighting good fighters that have punching power. All right. And I'm going to speak a little bit on that because we are going to talk about a fighter here at 130 who just became champion. But if he is going to fight Oscar Valdez, which is a great fight, by the way, or Shakur Stevenson, which is another great fight, he got to understand that a lot of things that he tends to get away with because of, his volume and his pressure and him just being in control in every fight. There are other fighters out there that are bigger, that have better punching resistance, better defense, and can punch back. I think the Valdez fight is a winnable fight. That is a great matchup. And that's part of the reason why I thought Valdez or Bob Arum almost put Valdez in there with Navarrete before Valdez fought Shakur Stevenson. But even without those guys, Hector Garcia, who is the new champion at 130, just beat Gutierrez over the weekend, which I'm going to discuss as well. In fact, I'll probably jump right into that after this. Hector Garcia is a good fighter, and he's coming off two very impressive wins, beating an undefeated Chris Colbert, all right, and then also beating Gutierrez. And he's a guy that, if you look at his resume, he doesn't have a lot of KOs, but you can tell by watching his fights that the guy can crack. And I'm talking about Hector Garcia. He can punch, and he's pretty durable, and he's a good boxer. Goes to the body well, has a good jab. You saw in the Chris Colbert fight that this dude can box, and he has solid power. He's going to be a hard guy to just move up and fight, and I don't believe that that fight would take place. But what I'm saying is, if Navarrete is going to go up to 130, I see him possibly being the best at 126. But at 130 is a different ball game. Whether he's fighting Joe Cordina, whether he's fighting Shakur or Hector Garcia, it's a tougher division, way tougher, All right. And those guys are more likely or more willing to probably fight each other over the guys at 126. 126 has been a softer division for a long time, just because the best don't truly fight the best. It's just a bunch of guys with names fighting each other and not really trying to unify. All right. Very cherry picked out division. And it's been like that for a long, long time now. All right. And I don't see it changing anytime soon. Hopefully it does, but I don't know. But good win for Navarrete. All right. And like I said, going into Showtime, you had a few good cards, a few fights on there that was pretty good. But Hector Garcia beats Gutierrez, becoming the 135 champion. I don't know which title he picked up. Junior lightweight champion, super featherweight champion. And it was good. And you know what? A lot of people, I didn't think Gutierrez was going to win. Gutierrez, he's coming off 2 wins against Rene Alvarado. The first fight was very close. Okay. I didn't see Gutierrez. I'd never seen him win. I'd never seen him fight before that fight. It was a good win. But Hector Garcia being Chris Colbert the way that he did in dominant fashion, I think that was just a way better win and a much more impressive win. And I thought it was pretty clear that Garcia was going to win this fight, which he did. He won it clearly to me. I didn't start giving Gutierrez rounds until like the championship rounds. All right. But it just wasn't enough. It was a clear win for Hector Garcia. And now he holds a title. And I think you got a good set of champions there. You got Shakur Stevenson, who's obviously unified. You got Joe Cordina, who is undefeated. All right, coming off of a huge knockout win, and you got Hector Garcia now. And Shakur Stevenson is scheduled to fight Conceição in his next fight. He should be fighting soon, which is a very good boxing match between two good boxers. Conceição, many believe Conceição won the fight against Oscar Valdez. And just a good matchup. And, I think Shakur is going to win. As good as Conceição is, I'm going to take the better boxer, the greater boxer over the really good boxer, and that's why I got Shakur winning with while being comfortable. Okay. But I like the Hector Garcia fight for Shakur if he stays at 130. And I also like the Joe Cordina fight as well. Hopefully he get unified before moving up. But I got a feeling that most likely Shakur is probably going to be moving up before becoming undisputed, depending what happens with Haney, Kambosos, and Lomachenko. All right. I'm definitely going to make a separate video talking about Lomachenko. I'm not going to do it here today because we have too much to discuss and I don't have the time. But I will be dropping a video on Lomachenko, and it's the next opponent probably tomorrow. All right. All right, so let's talk about the Lipinets and Figueroa fight now, since we're staying on the Showtime card. All right, Sergey Lipinets steps in as a replacement for Adrian Broner to fight Omar Figueroa. All right, Omar Figueroa, he's had it rough. He's coming off 2 losses. He lost to Ugas, where he was dropped early in that fight and dominated and shut out, in my opinion. And then he was also stopped by Ramos, right? And I think he took a little break. When was the let me look him up real quick because I want to just figure this out. He comes in, and then we have Sergey Lipinets, who I think he did have one more fight since losing to Jaron Ennis. All right, Abel Ramos stopped him in 2021 of May. So he's taken over a year off. And he's been fighting at 147. Him and Lipinets were fighting at 147 for a while. And they both come back to fight at 140, where I believe both of those fighters belong. All right, I think they're both better at 140. Sergey Lipinets, on the other hand, moved up, was fighting at 147 for some time now, right? He moved up in 2018 for Eric Bonet's, been very busy. He retired Lamont Peterson, stopping him late in their fight. Had some fights, had the Castillo-Clayton fight, which was a draw, and then had the Jaron Ennis knockout loss, all right? Where he lost every round. And then he came back. So they both have been out the ring for some time, all right, since their losses. They both were out for about 16 months here. So he returns to fight from the Jaron Ennis stoppage to fight Omar Figueroa. And let me tell you something. I didn't do a prediction video or a breakdown or anything for this fight. I didn't have time to. All right, but I thought this was a terrible matchup for Omar Figueroa. A terrible matchup for him. Because the strengths that Omar has or had over Adrian Broner might have been volume, punch output. Because no matter what, even though we know Broner is a better talent, Broner has not been active. And the one thing about Broner is if that fight would have went to the points, the scorecard, Broner lack of volume would have made the fight competitive, because we know that Omar, at least in his better days, was a high volume pressure fighter. So if Broner wasn't able to hurt him or drop him or stop him, the fight would have been a competitive fight, not knowing where Broner's really at this stage of his career. Obviously, he's not great because he just pulled out of the fight due to mental health issues. All right. Didn't have a good fight neither. Looked terrible in his last fight against Santiago, in a fight that I think Broner lost. All right. And he's just been taking losses left and right. But Omar Figueroa fighting Sergey Lipinets was a mistake. I know Lipinets got dominated against Jaron Ennis. That is a whole different beast. Ennis has dominated a lot of fighters, but the thing with Sergey Lipinets is that he's been proven to be very durable. Even though he was stopped in that fight, he was stopped by a much bigger fighter with a lot of power. Jaron Ennis is probably the biggest fighter at 147 right now, right? At least of the top tier fighters or the top contenders, at least. He's better. He's bigger than Ennis. I mean, he's big. He's bigger than Spence. He's bigger than Spence. He's probably even bigger than Kell Brook was. He's a big welterweight. So I just thought the matchup was not good for Omar, because at least Sergey, who also went down to 140 to fight him, Sergey can match your volume, goes to the body well, is very durable, okay? And he's a very flat-footed fighter that likes to sit down on his punches. He can exchange with you. So Omar jumps out the gate, roughs him up, tries to push him to the ropes and try to bully Lipinets. And Lipinets welcomed it and beat him at his own game, attacking his body, right? So it was an easy fight for Lipinets because he just came out of that type of fight with a Jaron Ennis and was able to at least, stand his ground and take the punishment. Omar is nowhere near that kind of a puncher. He's not. And he's no longer as durable as he seemed to be once upon a time in his career, in his prime. He was just stopped by Abel Ramos, and he was also dropped by Yordenis Ugas. So it was a bad decision to come down, and he was stopped. Well, at least he retired in his corner after being dominated. I thought the fight should have been stopped. Omar Figueroa, he was neutralized. And a high volume puncher that he is, he wasn't throwing that many punches because he had to be more concerned with getting hit. We always knew that he wasn't a good boxer, a good defender. So when you find a guy like Lipinets who can sit in the pocket with you and bang to your body and exchange with you and take the punches better, Omar just wasn't good. He retired in his corner. Not he didn't retire, but his corner retired for him. And I believe that Omar Figueroa should retire. I just think it's done. And it's not just because he lost 3 fights in a row. It's just that you lost 3 fights. Your style is tailor-made to boxer punchers. You're taking a lot of damage. You're not as durable as you once were. And you will just be getting abused by fighters that are not on your level or not on the level that you once was. And I just think he should retire before he gets badly hurt. I think he should retire. I think it's it. I think he's lost his will to he's just been broken. He's a guy that's been suffering from mental health issues as well. So with that being said, I just don't think he has it anymore. And before he gets hurt, before he gets used because he has a name, I think it's his time to go. He was getting abused. Yeah. See your comment here, Will. He said, didn't want to see it. Stop watching after the 3rd. Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing neither. I did watch the end of it the other night. I went back and watched the first 3 or 4 rounds. And then I was like, okay, I don't need to keep watching this. I seen him get knocked down. I think after the 3rd round as well. I think I'll start watching it this morning because I already saw the last round or 2 before. I think the night of the fight. All right. And I think that's it. Omar would have done better. Yes, Les. Omar would have done better against Broner because Broner because Broner is not going to punch as much. All right. Now, he would make the punches count better, but Broner is just a little less active than Sergey. He's a lot more inactive than Sergey Lipinets. So he would have been fighting a much more rusty Broner. But Broner does have the power to probably hurt Omar at 140. All right. So anyway, let's talk about the let's get back to some of the undercards of the Joshua and Usyk fight. All right, a couple of fights. I just want to brush over them real quickly. Now, Callum Smith made his return, and I definitely going to make a video. I keep saying it, but I definitely have to, because it seemed like whenever I talk about 175, I'm doing it in a video where I'm discussing several topics. There's a lot going on at 175, and I want to make a video just breaking it all down, because it's just so much going on with the division right now, and I really need people to understand what's going on with the division. Great division, a lot of talent, and a lot of good fights. But Callum Smith makes his return on the other card and beats Bauderleek. Now, I never heard of Bauderleek. I never seen him fight before. He's an undefeated fighter. But let me tell you something. It's a guy that he's from France. Definitely going to be a guy I'm going to keep my eye on, because the kid could box. All right. I don't know if you guys seen that fight, but Callum Smith, who, looked like he's improving, right? And I don't mean like, we already know he's huge. We already know that he has a lot of knockout power. But Callum Smith, who's normally very, very stiff, that's my number one complaint. I thought Callum Smith has always been very stiff. I like the upper body movement from him this time around. I think he's still improving. He's huge. He has power, and he's not as stiff and robotic as he was earlier, at 168. And I'm not even talking about the Canelo fight. I'm talking about the fights before that. I've been watching them for a while now. All right. So I like the fact that he's improving, but he stops Bauderleek in the 4th round with a devastating knockout. Was able to hurt him the round before that. Bauderleek came out in that 4th round boxing very, very well. Very good boxer, by the way. Problem is, he started to want to trade and exchange with Callum Smith on the inside, leaving himself open. He got clipped. His chin was out there. He got clipped, and he got knocked out. It was definitely one of the best knockouts of the weekend. It was a crazy knockout. Callum Smith, this fight was like it was a title eliminator for one of Beterbiev's titles. All right. So now he's the mandatory. Okay. I definitely got to make a separate video talking about all of this, because there's just so much going on with 175. And I really don't believe that we're going to get a undisputed fight. It's just too much going on, because Beterbiev holds 3 titles. He's supposed to be fighting Yard. Yet he has mandatories, upcoming mandatories. And he just got injured. And then you got Bivol, who's fighting Zerto, who's his mandatory, and a possible Canelo rematch for the future. All right. And I believe that fight will happen. So with that being said, I don't really know what's going on with 175. I don't think we're going to get a Bivol Beterbiev fight. I mean, I would like that to happen, but I just don't think we're going to get it. All right. But I'll talk more about that later. But there are still a lot of fights. I said before, I want Callum Smith, Zerto Ramirez, guys like Joshua Buatsi, Anthony Yard. I wish there was a way where we had a tournament. This division needs a tournament so bad, because there's so many high-level 175-pounders that are really, really good, that are undefeated still. that are pushing towards a championship fight without fighting some of the other top guys in the division. I believe that this division really, really needs a tournament. It just does. You know, this needs a Super Six tournament, or not a Super Six, but maybe a World Boxer Series, like we got at 168. I think we just need some sort of tournament because it's just too many fighters, too many mandatories. Buati is going to be fighting John Pascal. Zerto is going to be fighting Bivol. Yard and Better BF is getting delayed now. You know what I'm saying? Just too many fights. Too many fights, too many fighters. I don't know. We just gotta wait and see. All right. What else? Zhang for Hrgovic. Very controversial. All right. I'm seeing people say robbery. I do not believe that the fight was a robbery. I do believe that Hrgovic barely won if we're just counting the rounds. All right. And that's the way boxing is scored. I think Hrgovic barely won, but I think that Zhang was more effective and he was more dominant in the rounds that he won. But Hrgovic was more consistent. The problem is with Hrgovic is that he gave a lot of rounds away because even though he was more consistent, there will be a point 30 seconds of every round where Zhang will land a big shot and hurt him. Okay. Zhang did a lot better than what I expected him to do, but Hrgovic looked like mentally he was off that night. All right. I know he lost his father earlier this year. This fight was supposed to happen earlier this year. His father passed away, so they postponed the fight. But Hrgovic in this fight here, and I'm speaking just solely on this fight because it's the best opponent. Zhang was the best opponent he's fought in his professional career. I know a lot of people ducked him. I know there's like a list of like 7 or 8 fighters that ducked him leading up to this fight. And I understand that. But that fight there was not a fight that I feel that now that other heavyweights watched it, he will no longer continue to be ducked. Now, maybe he had a rough night because mentally he wasn't there. And that's the one thing. He looked like mentally he wasn't there. He would get hit at times and he would just like kind of wander off and look out into the ring, into the crowd. The crowd. He looked mentally unstable. All right. At times, it just looked like he wanted to quit. Zhang fought hard, but the age showed. All right. The stamina issues that we've seen in previous fights, it showed. All right. And I think Zhang is good. He's definitely powerful. When he was really, really dangerous in the earlier rounds. But I expected Hrgovic to stop him. He didn't. But I still believe that Hrgovic won more rounds because Zhang, especially in the championship rounds, Zhang didn't really have it left in his power. And the stamina. He just didn't have it. He had the power, but he didn't have enough to keep fighting at a high level in the end of the fight. You can see how tired they were. I mean, they both were tired. Hrgovic didn't really hurt him at any point. It was just kind of outworking him. Zhang was hurting him throughout the fight, but he just wasn't active enough. The punch output was just too low. And I feel like Zhang kept stealing rounds. He just kept stealing rounds, in my opinion. All right. And I think that's the thing that really made this fight competitive as it was. All right. So Hrgovic, I'm still looking to see what he can do. I think that fight didn't really raise his stock. I think Zhang is going to have another good opportunity because of the fact that he looked good. I know Derek Chisora wants to fight him. All right. He even showed in one of his interviews that he already had like a fake flyer made of Chisora and Zhang. Maybe could do that in an arena in China. I think that's what they're looking for. I don't know with COVID restrictions. I know they've been very strict out there with certain parts of China. I don't know if that's still going on. But that's a quality fight, Zhang and Chisora. But as far as Hrgovic, I don't feel like he's a fighter that people are going to continue to duck after seeing that performance. He looked very, very beatable in that fight. You know, and if you get a guy that's able to punch too, and also have better conditioning where they can be more consistent round by round, then he's gonna get beaten. All right. So in his next fight, Hrgovic kind of have to prove that he really belongs in his very next fight. All right. All right. So look, let's get to Joshua, Usyk, Tyson Fury, and the heavyweight talk. Let's get to that. You know, I did my recap of the fight. If you haven't seen it already, I did a full recap of the fight. And I want to say 80% of that video was talking about the fight itself. And the rest of it was talking about what the fighters should do in the future, you know, moving forward. We know that Usyk is most likely going to fight. Usyk is most likely going to be fighting Tyson Fury for undisputed, which most of us want. All right. We all want that. We all want undisputed at heavyweight. We all been waiting for that. All right. It might not be the guy that you wanted in that fight, but as long as we have some kind of confirmation on who is the best fighter at heavyweight in this generation, that's all I'm looking for. That's all I'm looking for. All right. Anthony Joshua. Let's speak on him real quick before we get to Usyk and Tyson Fury. Anthony Joshua went on a rant. I just addressed this already. All right. And this will be the last time I'm addressing it because I'm reading some comments here and I see that people are coming at me because they want me to react in a way that I reacted for other fighters in the past, specifically Deontay Wilder. They want me to be angry at Joshua. What I said, if you didn't watch that video, and please watch the video if you are curious to know, what I said about AJ is that I was very disappointed at him, you know, because of his reaction in the ring, his behavior in the ring. He was off. Never seen him that way. I thought the belt drop was the most disrespectful part. You know, I didn't like his behavior in the ring. There was a point where people from his team had to hold him, and he was just acting like a giant child. All right. He didn't take the loss well. There were things that he said and did that I didn't have that much of a problem with in his outbursts. I didn't like the fact that he went on that long rant after he lost and made it about him instead of Usyk beating him. I compared that moment to Kanye snatching the mic from Taylor Swift and went on that rant. You know, I didn't like that, right? I didn't like that, you know, he was walking around throwing F-bombs, cursing at everybody. I didn't like all that. But my least favorite part about it, is when he took the belts from Usyk's camp and tossed them out of the ring. That was my least favorite part. I think that was the worst part of it. I don't care about him cursing. Okay, I don't care about him going on a rant. I didn't like it, but I understand that this is the first time this man has lost his cool. But I felt that the belt drop, if it was somebody else, I felt that that could have definitely caused a fight. You know what I'm saying? Depending on who it was. Luckily, Team Usyk stayed cool. Usyk, they showed his reaction to everything. Kind of like just kept it cool. Team Usyk kept it cool. No one overreacted. Everybody was just trying to calm AJ down. I didn't like it. I actually hated it. I didn't hate everything about it, but the rant and all of that, that's not something that is going to make me make content just shitting on AJ. Okay? because he did it. He left. He walked out. He still shook Usyk's hand. He left the ring. He went to the press conference, basically apologized for his behavior, right? And then went on all of his social media platforms the very next day and basically apologized and stated exactly why he was sorry. Now, what else do you want me to do? For some of you, there was even a guy that left me a comment comparing this to Will Smith's slap of Chris Rock. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. Not only did he slap Chris Rock, but we didn't hear him address this until like 2 weeks ago. Are we like, have you guys started watching boxing today? I even said in my own video, I said, how many outbursts has Zab Judah had? And I still love him. Mike Tyson. I gave you guys a list the other day. I'm not going to. How many? There's so many fighters. Riddick Bowe. He literally dropped 2 punches on a guy and a face-off. Like, did you guys just started watching boxing yesterday? Now, it was bad. What AJ did is bad. But he apologized immediately. What do you want me to make 20 videos about Anthony Joshua and his rant? No, there's people out there that's doing it. I don't have to do it. You know why? Because we have other things to discuss. And he's already apologized for it. Now, when I made my rant on Wilder, my rant on Wilder was a collection of excuses that I kept hearing day after day after day. And my rant was, I think, within the week, right? We heard about the costume. We heard about the spiked water, Mark Breland. We heard about a whole bunch of stuff. And this was even before Glovegate. The Glovegate thing didn't even start. So this is how this, check it out. This is how it works. When I make a video about specific fighters, right? People like to come in my videos to see if I'm going to say anything about Deontay Wilder. Like, they want me to react the same way. And I'm not reacting the same way because it's not the same thing. Wilder made a list of excuses. His fans created a list of excuses. And then we didn't hear from Wilder for like 8 months. And then when we finally heard about it, he doubled down on everything that was created online. That's why the Wilder thing dragged. Not for me, but for everybody else. All the other content creators, it dragged because Wilder stayed in silence, right? While AJ apologized in the post-fight and then later on his social media. And that was it. There was no excuses on why he lost. He was pissed on why he lost. He feels like he's a stronger fighter. He should have won. But he's basically pissed at himself. This is not the same thing. I don't know why people are coming here to look for some kind of reaction out of me. I gave you my reaction. I was disappointed in him. You know, I think I was embarrassed for him. I was definitely embarrassed for him because I was watching it like, oh, shit. AJ is actually finally, you know, he's letting it all go. You know, this is not sponsorship AJ. You know, this is not squeaky clean AJ. But at the very end of it all, he's already apologized for it. Now, if he went next week and had another interview, he's like, listen, I'm not apologize for anything that I did. I stand by everything that I did. Then maybe I would speak on it more. Sorry. He already apologized. It's nothing else for me to say. What am I going to keep talking about it for? There's more people talking about that rant than people talking about the actual fight. I spent at least 80% of that video talking about the fight. So if you're looking for like, oh, even with Wilder, let me speak about Wilder real quick. Most of my Wilder videos, if I ever diss Wilder, with every video that I'm ranting about something Wilder said or did, there's another 10 videos talking about what Wilder should do moving forward. Fighters that I think he should face next. Guys that I think he should prepare with leading up to that next fight. These Wilder channels, they don't talk about that. They don't talk about what Wilder should be doing next to prepare for the next guy. I just did a video talking about a list of fighters that Wilder should face before we found out that it was officially Helenius. And I said Helenius is a good fighter. That's a good fight. I have no issues with that fight whatsoever. Now, whether or not you guys think it's pay-per-view, I mean, I don't think it's pay-per-view, but I don't think most of these fights are pay-per-view worthy. But Wilder, at this point, he's a pay-per-view fighter. At this point, he is. It is what it is. So for the people that like to come here, because I know they're going to come back here because they just want to hear whenever they see Fury and Joshua, they come here to hope in hopes that I mention Wilder so they can see how I react. So there you go. You just got that. All right. Let's move on. Usyk and Tyson Fury. We're going to get the fight. Well, let me not say we're going to get the fight. What I mean is Fury has already given us the green light. He's giving Frank Warren the green light to try to make that fight. Most likely they're going to go to purse bid, all right, and sort it all out, all right? I don't think it should be that much of a problem to make the fight. I think it's all about how much money is going to get thrown at Fury. I don't believe that Usyk is a very difficult guy to please financially. So I think, you know, it's from what the reports that I read, they're not going to be they're probably not going to have it in the UK. It's probably going to be in Saudi Arabia. It's probably not going to be it's not going to be on British soil. So they're probably going to be, it's going to probably be in the same situation. You know, the Saudis they're going to work something out with them and they'll probably make it a big money fight. Because Fury's just been saying since day one that, listen, if you want me to come back, you're going to have to pay me a lot of money. All right. I don't care about the business. Let it work. Let it work. I don't care about the business. I want these fighters to get paid what they worth for sure. For sure. But I am not an expert in just making videos about the business side of it. I think that's a problem with most of these channels is that most of them really don't know shit, but they want to act like they do, you know, and they talk about the business. Really, they're just being biased and they're going to support whatever fighter they like or not support whatever fighter they dislike for whatever reason. All right. I think the fight is going to be, I do believe, like, if we are going to talk about business, I do think Tyson Fury is the A side, even though Usyk has more belts and stuff like that, only because Tyson Fury has a name. Like, he really has a name here in America, here, you know, out there on, you know, in the British or, you know, in British soil. He's more of a name and stuff like that. But I don't even want to get into that because, listen, if they settle and make the fight work out, then and everyone's happy and they agreed on, you know, the contracts and everything, then there's nothing for us to care about if these guys are happy with what they're getting and what they're making. You know, I just want to know who's the best of this generation. I think there still are a lot of unanswered questions about the heavyweight division. I think a lot of boxing fans are good and they're satisfied with blaming certain fighters on why a fight didn't take place. We're dealing with that with Spence and Crawford right now. There are a lot of fans out there that are satisfied with the fight not happening because they want their fighter to get 80% of the money that's being made. They don't want to see the fight like that. They want the fight to fall apart so they can stick with, well, this one had the better resume, so this one don't have to fight this one. We were getting the same thing with Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Fans who are not really fans, but a lot of people are fans for fighters for everything but the fight itself. Some of these fighters mean a lot more to these fans because of other reasons outside of how they're actually fighting. This is why I never stopped talking about Wilder and Joshua. When these guys were champs and they were the only two champs, they should have fought each other. They didn't. They started taking losses. But I still said, I want this fight. I don't want to ever stop talking about this fight until it happens. Because the moment that I become like everybody else and start saying, well, Wilder lost to Fury, so he's proven that he's the second best heavyweight. We don't even need to see the AJ fight anymore. There are a lot of people that say that. You'll never hear me say that. I don't care how many times Wilder loses or gets knocked out. I don't care how many times Joshua loses or gets knocked out. I don't care. You know why? Because all the heavyweights that I grew up watching lost too. All of them did. Lennox Lewis got knocked out twice. How many times have Evander Holyfield lost? You know, all of these fighters that I grew up watching lost at some point, but still went on and fought somebody that I wanted them to see, that I wanted to see them fight. I can't say the same for these guys. And even the fans are like, no, I'm satisfied with what I'm getting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm never going to stop talking about Joshua and Wilder. I don't even want neither one of them to retire until they face each other. On top of that, the fight is still a big fight. It's still a big fight. You know why? Because I'm a real boxing fan. I don't care. Listen, they could say whatever they want to say about each other. As long as the both of them fight, I'll be happy. That's all I care. I don't care about what Al Heyman did. I don't care about what Fox is doing with PBC. I don't care about none of that shit. As long as they fight each other, I'll be happy. That's it. As long as they could both fight and find a way, both sides, Eddie and this guy Shelly Finkel, if they could find a way to make the fights happen, then I'll be happy. I don't care about all of that stuff. All that politics stuff is just excuses on why to not let the fight happen. And so we can just stick and stay here in limbo talking about which fighter is better without them actually fighting each other. You know? Yes, I will still, yes. MAW says, I will still pay to see AJ and Wilder. Yes, I will still pay. Absolutely. If not, go to the fight. Paying, I would love to pay for that fight. I would absolutely pay for that fight. Fury and Usyk, you know, I was trying to decide, you know, I'm kind of leaning off Fury now because, you know, I think he's a safer pick. But you know what? neither one of them has really fought anyone that's like the other. You know, I was trying to like play that fight off in my head. And even though I'm leaning a little towards Fury, Usyk can definitely give Fury problems. If this is a fight that's going to go to a decision, I can definitely see it be close. You know, I definitely could see Fury hurting Usyk, but I can definitely see Usyk outworking Fury. Main questions are, when I look at Fury and I compare anyone that Fury has fought to Usyk, I think of the Atul Wallin fight, right? For the obvious reasons. You got Wallin, who was a southpaw that was very competitive, right? Was able to punch and cut Fury bad. I do believe that if that fight wasn't Tyson Fury, that the fight would have probably been stopped. All right. But you got to also look at it. All right. Now, Usyk is fighting a guy who has great technique, has a long reach with a great jab that moves well. It's not as robotic as Joshua. And even though Joshua has improved, there are certain things that Fury does that Joshua just can't do. All right. Fury is better than all of those guys that Usyk has fought and beat. And plus, he's a big man with a lot of power. Now, even if you're able to outwork the guy, Fury is still very dangerous. He's putting a lot more power down. He's heavier, and he has fairly good conditioning. He knows how to pace himself, and he has a good body shot naturally. Another thing was with Fury that I feel like with Joshua, I noticed with Joshua that Joshua is not really good at rolling punches off his, his shoulders and stuff like that. He doesn't really have that slickness. He's never really fought that way. He's a guy that, yeah, he's good at moving his head at times and keeping it off the line. He's definitely improved in the Usyk rematch. Most of the time, if he's not, moving his head side to side, he's blocking or parrying shots with his gloves. Joshua is not great with short shot counters. And I think when Usyk fight Fury, I think that's one issue that Usyk is going to have with Fury. When they close a gap, when Usyk closes the gap, he has to worry about not just, I know he likes to keep his head off the line and everything. So he could definitely slip Tyson's jab and get in and counter with some left hands. But he has to worry about those little short shots on the inside. And I don't see AJ. I've never seen AJ like really do any of that, Plus, Fury can switch as well. There's a lot of things that Fury brings to the table. And I don't think any of these guys are unbeatable. I don't think any of them are. I've always said that these guys, and I'm speaking specifically on Usyk. I'm not Usyk, AJ, Wilder, and Fury. I think all of them have their flaws and their strengths. But with AJ, AJ, one thing, even with Wilder is good at, and everybody talks about his right hand, and that's the only weapon he has. Wilder can definitely catch you with a short shot, and it's very powerful. He doesn't always have to have that range where that wide, big clubbing right hand. He can hit you with it on the inside too. And I think I remember when he hurt Gerald Washington with it. I think even with Fury, I think he hurt Fury with it as well, maybe in the third fight. All right. But with that being said, there are certain things that Fury does that could be a problem for Usyk. But this Usyk is much better. Like when you look at the Wallin fight, I spent like a few minutes watching it. Usyk is way more athletic than Alto Wallin, and Wallin gave him a lot of trouble. But Fury was still with Ben Davison at the time. So he was definitely fighting a different style, the style that we always seen leading up to that point where, he wasn't really sitting down on a power like that. Didn't weigh as much. He was more focused on movement and speed. All right. So now that he's been with Sugar Hill and, he's changed it up and he's sitting down on the power and, he knocked out Dillian White. He was able to knock out Wilder twice. Different Fury. But Usyk is very athletic. And if Fury isn't able to hurt Usyk, that's when the fight becomes very, very interesting. Because I do think Usyk will find ways to get in on him and score shots. I don't think he can hurt Fury. I think the one thing about Usyk, as much, he's been very successful as a heavyweight so far in the 3 fighters that he's faced. But I don't think he has the power to really hurt any top tier heavyweight. I think we can all agree with that. Even in that 10th round where he landed a lot of power shots on AJ, I don't think AJ was that hurt. I think he was more tired than anything. Right? I don't think he got real hurt like the way some other fighters hurt him in the past. Dillian White hurt him. Andy Ruiz obviously hurt him. Klitschko hurt him. You know what I'm saying? He was gassed there too, but he got hit with a big shot against Klitschko. Those guys really was able to hurt AJ. I don't think Usyk really hurt AJ. I think he fell back. He got shocked by a few shots, but I don't think it was like where AJ was in real danger. Only time I think he was in real danger was in the 12th round in the first fight. And even then, if you really take a look at it, AJ was more tired than anything. He was just trying to slip. He was getting hit, but a lot of those shots were missing if you watch it slow-mo. So with that being said, it's a very intriguing fight. I can't wait to see it. I do think that Fury's going to win, though. I do think Fury's going to win. But I'm not sleeping on Usyk at all. I think Usyk has a real chance of winning because Tyson has not fought anyone that's like him. Okay? I think Alto Wallin is probably the closest, and he's nowhere near as skillful as Usyk. Okay? Usyk is much better than Alto Wallin. All right? He's much different from Wilder, Klitschko, Chisora, the best guys, Dillian White, the best guy that Fury has fought. I know they're true heavyweights, proven heavyweights. I believe Usyk is proven now, but he's still a smaller guy, and I don't think that Usyk size is going to be affected. Fury's going to be coming in above 170, or not 170, 270. If Usyk is weighing around 220, and that's another thing too, Usyk can't afford to put on much more weight because you don't want him to be slower and you want him to be, keep that volume high, especially in the championship rounds like he normally does. This might be a 50-pound gap in weight between two fighters. It's going to be very interesting to see how Usyk deals with that. But it's going to be very interesting to see how Fury deals with Usyk's speed and conditioning. I think Fury is going to have to hit him with something that's going to wake him up to make him not be as active, be a little bit unsure of himself. I haven't yet seen that in Usyk in a fight before, even in fights where he was losing early. I have yet to see a fighter make Usyk like hesitate. So I think Fury is going to have to do that. All right. Let me read some of the comments here. Eric Johnson said Usyk beats Fury, and I'm putting bread on it. Joshua was a lot bigger than Usyk in the ring. Yeah, he was. Unexpected Usyk shot. MAW says unexpected Usyk shots from different angles buzz even more when he puts more mustard on them. Yeah. Otto says I got Usyk by decision. Solid Rock says Usyk, Fury got powered. He's a big dude. Will says Usyk by decision. There's a lot of Usyk people here. Good. La Vida Boxio says I'm all in on Fury. Definitely gonna put up a poll. Probably gonna put one up tonight. I want to put up a poll and see what you guys say. Put one on the channel. Yeah, all right. Eric Johnson says no Sugar Hill for Fury, bad choice. Yeah, what is up with that? I did hear that. They need to work that out. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what's going on with that. But I would like for Fury to get back with Sugar. Sugar has made Fury look at his best since they got together. You know what I'm saying? So I hope they can work that out. All right. But I love the fight, man, and I do believe that it's a 50-50 fight, man, because I do believe that Usyk, even though he's smaller, he's such a good boxer, and he's so athletic, and I know Fury is very athletic for his size, but he's definitely a lot slower than Usyk. Can't wait to see it. All right. So anyway, that's it for the topics of today. Again, please hit that like button if you haven't already. Smash that like button. All right. And if you are new, hit that subscribe button. I got way more topics on the way. So be around and check out. Definitely dropping a lot of content this week because there's a lot of content. There's a lot of things. I'm going to talk about Andrade. Be on the lookout for a video about Andrade. Video on Kambosos, Haney, Lomachenko. Definitely want to speak more on 175, Bivol and Zerdo, about Buatsi, Pascal, all this better BF. I want to speak on Callum Plant coming back to fight Anthony Durrell and a number of other topics. All right. So anyway, I'm definitely going to do a poll. Look out for that poll as well. Please, before I get out of here, hit that like button, smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. I'm out of here. Y'all have a good night. Peace.